And we lost thousands in product and materials and parts. Pretty much everything that's sitting on the floor was either damaged or is no longer usable. I'm going to walk you through what happened, how it happened, what we're doing to fix it, and obviously a lot has changed, so we'll get you a full shop update.
Not because of attention and not because of money. He finally chose to speak openly, and what he revealed about the future of Vice Grip Garage was nothing like the story many believed. Long before millions recognized his name, before cameras rolled or engines roared back to life, Derek was just a kid growing up in North Dakota, learning how to fix things because replacing them wasn't an option. Surrounded by farmland, tractors, and long stretches of quiet, he learned to listen to machines and understand them. If something stopped working, you didn't give up on it. You worked through it. That mindset didn't stay in the garage. It shaped who he became. Patience, creativity, and the confidence to solve problems followed him everywhere. Born on May 16, 1984, Derek was raised in a modest rural home where hard work was simply part of daily life. From an early age, he was fascinated by mechanics, taking apart toys and gadgets, not out of recklessness, but curiosity, wanting to understand how everything worked. Those small experiments quietly shaped his future. As he grew older, that curiosity turned into a love for classic American cars and trucks sitting forgotten in fields and barns. He didn't just see rust and wear. He saw stories and potential, wondering if they could run again. After finishing his studies, his journey didn't lead straight to in-line success. He first chose to serve, joining the military, where he learned discipline, responsibility, and focus, values that later showed up in every project he touched. After leaving the service, he entered the corporate world, trading work boots for office attire. But something felt off. Fluorescent lights couldn't replace the glow of a welder or the satisfaction of an engine coming back to life. Watching others share their garage projects online sparked an idea. And one evening, he put a phone to his garage door, set up his tools, and worked on an old Camaro, filming everything. That video wasn't just about a car running again. It lit a fire. On December 9, 2007, Vice Grip Garage was born, not with a plan or a budget, but with authenticity and courage. The channel grew because it was real. No flashy edits, no perfect setups, just honest work and genuine passion. Derek showed that fixing cars wasn't only about machines. It was about giving something another chance. Viewers connected because it felt human. As the channel grew, so did the stories. He rescued forgotten vehicles, got them running, and drove them home, sharing every challenge along the way. People didn't stay just for the cars. They stayed for him. They laughed, learned, and celebrated when stubborn engines finally came alive. After years of silence. Over time, millions found inspiration not just in tools and parts, but in persistence and creativity. Derek proved you didn't need expensive equipment to build something meaningful. Bigger challenges followed, including long-distance driving events that pushed both driver and machine to their limits. One car in particular came to represent everything Vice Grip Garage stood for. A worn but resilient 1972 Chevrolet nicknamed Independence. It was perfect, and that was the point. It symbolized never giving up. Derek often said Vice Grip Garage wasn't just a canal. It was something meant to be passed forward. A way to keep skills, curiosity, and passion alive for the next generation. But as the channel grew, pressure grew with it. The uploads became constant. Travel increased, and projects had to fit schedules instead of fashion. Some viewers noticed the shift before Derek ever spoke about it. The joy was harder to see. What many didn't realize was how much he was carrying behind the scenes, working extreme hours, filming, editing, traveling, and planning. The work that once energized him began to feel heavy. The exhaustion came first, then frustration. Projects that once excited him started to feel like obligations. Like many creators, he kept pushing, hoping the spark would return. But eventually, he had to ask himself whether the pace was sustainable. Stepping back wasn't about quitting. It was about protecting what mattered. Fans noticed the change and many understood, pointing out that success changes people and priorities shift, especially when family enters the picture. Derek made it clear that Vice Grip Garage only existed because of its community, and that gratitude was always at the center of everything. The channel became a family effort with his wife Jessica deeply involved, not just behind the scenes, but as part of the journey. Derek often said that if a dream costs you your family, it costs too much. That realization changed everything. He wanted to be present not only as a creator, but as a husband and father. Slowing down wasn't giving up, it was growing. Jessica shared that the events and road trips were never just about cars. They were about people and connections that lasted far beyond the videos. Derek later reflected that some of the most meaningful moments weren't filmed at all. They were quiet conversations with viewers who share how his work helped them through difficult times. He never planned for that impact, but it showed him that being genuine mattered more than any schedule or algorithm. So, he didn't slow down because of attention, pressure, or money. He slowed down to find balance, to protect his family, and to make sure the passion that started it all never disappeared. As Derek stepped into this new phase, he began to see his work differently. The garage was no longer just a backdrop for content. It became a place of reflection. Each tool had a story. Each vehicle a memory tied to a moment in his life. He realized that the early days weren't special because of growth or numbers. They were special because he was fully present. Back then, there was no rush to upload, no pressure to outperform the last video. There was just curiosity, effort, and the satisfaction of solving a problem with his own hands. That was the feeling he wanted back, not only for himself, but for everyone who watched. He started choosing projects more carefully, not based on what would perform best, but on what felt meaningful. Some builds took longer, others were simpler, but each one carried intention. Instead of chasing constant momentum, he allowed space for enjoyment again. He laughed more on camera, shared more honest moments, and let imperfections remain. In doing so, the channel began to feel familiar again, like sitting in a garage with a friend rather than watching a production. That shift resonated deeply with longtime viewers who had followed him from the beginning. At home, the change was just as noticeable. Meals together became routine rather than rare. Evenings weren't always spent editing, and weekends weren't always spent traveling. Derek discovered that presence had its own kind of fulfillment, one that didn't require applause. Being there for small moments, school events, conversations at the dinner table, and simple laughter reminded him that success wasn't something measured only by views or reach. It was measured by memories and relationships. Jessica became an even stronger voice of balance during this time. She reminded him that the community they built didn't expect perfection. They expected honesty. She often spoke about how the channel inspired people not because of flawless builds, but because it showed what was possible with patience and heart. Together, they began to view Vice Grip Garage as a long-term journey rather than a race. Something that could evolve naturally without losing its soul. Derek also started thinking more about the legacy he was leaving behind. Not in terms of fame, but in terms of values. He wanted younger viewers to see that learning a skill takes time. That mistakes are part of the process, and that it's okay to slow down when life demands it. He wanted them to understand that working with your hands can bear rewarding, not because it's easy, but because it teaches resilience and problem solving. More than anything, he wanted them to know that passion should add to your life, not consume it. The conversations with fans continued to shape his perspective. People would tell him about working on cars with family members, about finding comfort in his home approach, about learning to try again after something didn't work the first time. These stories reminded him that the channel had grown into something much bigger than entertainment. It had become a source of encouragement. That responsibility didn't scare him, but it did ground him. It reinforced the idea that being authentic was far more powerful than chasing trends. Over time, Derek found a rhythm that felt sustainable. Some weeks were quieter, others more active, but none felt overwhelming. He learned to say no when needed, and yes, only when it aligned with his priorities. The garage remained a place of creativity, but it no longer felt like an obligation. It became a space where learning and enjoyment could coexist. The audience noticed the difference. The tone of the videos felt calmer, more reflective, and more personal. Viewers felt invited into the process rather than rushed through it. The comments shifted too, filled with gratitude, understanding, and encouragement. It became clear that slowing down hadn't pushed people away. It had brought the right people closer. Derek often reflected on how unexpected the journey had been. What started as a simple idea turned into a platform that connected people from all walks of life. Yet, at the heart of it all, the foundation remained the same. Fix what you can, learn as you go, and don't be afraid to take your time. That mindset, shaped in a quiet North Dakota garage years ago, had carried him through every stage of his life. In the end, Vice Grip Garage wasn't defined by how often videos were uploaded or how big the projects became. It was defined by the values behind it: curiosity, patience, humility, and kindness. By choosing balance, Derek ensured that those values would remain intact. He proved that success doesn't always mean doing more. Sometimes it means doing what matters most. And by protecting his family, his peace, and his passion, he made sure that the story of Vice Grip Garage wasn't just about machines being restored, but about a life lived with intention, purpose, and heart. One viewer wrote, "I do not think it's gotten boring whatsoever. I'm glad for its evolution and appreciate the change up, from revivals to builds to giveaways to restos. Revivals will always be my favorite, but he's explained ad nauseum that he can't physically, monetarily, or logistically do only them. While the giveaway stuff doesn't interest me as much, I still love watching him wrench, troubleshoot, and solve problems. He's a teacher as well as an entertainer." Fans also noticed Derek's focus on family and variety. Many enjoyed Vice Grip Lodge, where he explores tractors and farming equipment, and even Bentley's Little Grip Garage, where his youngest son restores go-karts and dirt bikes. Even though some fans didn't care much about the giveaways or fancy restorations, the main reason they loved the channel stayed the same: Derek's passion for reviving old machines and teaching viewers along the way. Yet not every viewer was a fan of the changes. One user expressed frustration with the giveaway and resto mod content. "Am I the only one that finds him annoying? He may be a great guy, but his YouTube persona is so annoying. I feel dumber and feel like I have been talked down to all wrapped up in one when I try and watch his content. It is like watching a male version of Aunt Mabel in the kitchen trying to save a burnt pie with those cutesy little sayings." Many felt these projects made the channel less relatable, especially for viewers trying to tackle their own car projects with limited resources. The reaction to Derek's content evolution shows the challenge of growing as a creator. Some loved the new style, while others longed for the simplicity of the earlier videos. Comments highlighted that the channel's shift was not just about cars. It reflected Derek's growth, his family responsibilities, and the realities of running a successful YouTube channel. This mix of praise and criticism shows just how closely fans watch every move Derek makes and how even small changes can create strong reactions online. Even among the car YouTube community, small moments could spark debate. Take the case of the white Bricklin, once part of Vice Grip Garage's legacy. When Mort's Repair featured the car on his channel, viewers noticed he pointed out parts from O'Reilly's and read the total aloud. "You can tell someone has a sponsorship," he joked. Derek, who had worked closely on that project, reportedly commented on Facebook, not too pleased by the remark. The online chatter quickly spun into theories, though in reality there was no major conflict, just two creators and two audiences interpreting things differently. This episode is a reminder of how the internet can amplify small comments. Fans dissect every word, every sponsorship, and every collaboration. A joke or an offhand comment can turn into a rumor, creating unnecessary stress for creators. Moments like that show how much noise surrounds creators at Derek's level. Every move, every post, and every sponsorship is dissected. That noise can be exhausting when you're just trying to keep things running smoothly. Even so, the positive response shows why Derek has remained successful. Many viewers continue to value his ethics, authenticity, and dedication to the craft. As one fan explained, "A large portion of his popularity is also because of his ethics, something rarely seen on TV or YouTube. He's made it very clear that the Motor Trend show will not replace VGG, which stands for Vice Grip Garage. VGG is his main source of income, and he really enjoys doing what he does. Finding a balance between changing the channel, keeping fans